Hello, welcome back to Aetheral Space 15.15, The Hush of War. So first off, I've got to make an apology, guys. There is only going to be one episode this week because I have been very busy and very sad. Because I've been very busy.
Why sad?
Because
why
busy.
Sad? What's busy? What's got you in the? What's got you
It's
in
been
the?
a very
in the
busy
works?
week in work. So nothing particularly sad has happened to me. I'm just sad.
Are they making you work overtime?
No, I've never worked overtime in my life.
What are you busy with then?
Just a big workload.
Oh, I'm so tired.
And I'm just started feeling sorry for myself.
He's actually the one responsible for changing the price of Nintendo Switch after tariffs.
My fingers are worn down to just the bones.
Please stop making me pick numbers.
I used to be the sixth highest powered person in this server. Now I'm gone down to 7 because of my injuries.
Oh. Anyway, a quick warning, as always. If you've been enjoying Aetheral Space thus far, please leave a review on Spotify or especially on Royal Road. If you don't have a Royal Road account, it's super easy to make one. It does a whole bunch for the series. It would really help us out. Otherwise, we're going to jump right in.
Like I said, there was a warning. There's threatening.
Oh, warning. Do it or else.
I got a friendly warning for you, Pelly. I see you be liking that Aetheral Space. It'd be good to leave a review. You know,
I like those shitty apps. Yeah. Oh, you better leave a review or else you might not get any water for your crops anymore in Farmville. Wouldn't that be a shame? Well, it might be closed down.
What kind of version of Farmville you played? It's like the mob comes around 6:20.
Mobster Farmville. Oh, so you didn't leave a review, so we sent the farm mafia out to break your kneecaps and take you big.
The
only way to get water is to make a review. For each star you give us, you get a pail of water.
Friend the boss. He'll see you right. He'll see well by you. Add the boss as a friend on Facebook, yeah?
Come on, don't waste much time.
Because friends help each other.
We're like 2 minutes in. We gotta go. It was quiet. Too quiet. As Sam emerged from the wound of another corpse, he quickly took in his surroundings. That was important, after all. This very well could be the last place he'd see. A cold metal room, the ceiling nearly spherical, with a hallway leading off into the complex proper. And, apart from them, it was empty. Oh, this is such bullshit. There was no way it was going to be this easy. The enemy knew they were coming, and they knew where they'd be coming from. If they had all that information to hand and didn't have any guards posted, it went beyond incompetence and into insanity. Before he could voice his thoughts, however, the widow grabbed him by the back of the collar and pulled him firmly out of Lichgate's twin. Alcera glared daggers at the old woman as she manhandled him, but if the widow noticed the hostility, she didn't acknowledge it. Her grey eyes narrowed as she glanced around the chamber as well, releasing Sam and dropping him down to the floor.
Oh, there's a Succession reference, surely.
The Thinker's Comet, she said grimly. What? Morgan looked over his shoulder. He'd been standing ready with his sword, prepared for the first attack. I've been here before, the widow replied. They've changed the decor somewhat, but the smell is the same. So it is the AWL behind all this, then, Sam muttered, picking himself up. But this is crazy. The Thinker's Comet was no ordinary star station. Along with the Shishanaga and the Alec Alexander, it was one of 3 known vessels in the Supremacy capable of independent light jumps without the need of a light point. To take a vessel like that behind enemy lines, what was the absurd weapons lab thinking? Before he could open his mouth to ask another question, though, an involuntary shudder slid down his spine, and an involuntary flash of his blue aether lit up the room for a moment. As the violet aether ping ran over her as well, her aether cloaking letting it pass uninterrupted, the widow glanced at Serena, who was leading the pack. Did you find anyone? Serena shook her head. If there are other aether users nearby, they must be cloaking like you. There almost certainly are, the widow grunted, and they almost certainly are. Wolfram raised his fists as if he were about to take on an invisible boxer. You think we're being watched right now? Again, almost certainly. The widow tightened her grip on her cane. They'll have prepared a grand reception for us. Personally, I don't see a way forward but to take part. Agreed. She didn't wait for a response, and she didn't need one. The group darted forward, aether of many colors dancing around their feet as they charged down the hallway. Are they all doing the Naruto run? That's what I'm imagining, since you didn't say no. Sam glanced off to the side as they proceeded through the path they'd been given.
Sorry, my mic went out.
Yeah? Were they doing the Naruto run?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. The hallway was lined with glass windows, looking out into the starlit void of space. Far below, you could see the planet of Sed. Oh, the planet. Home of the... Did you say planet? Said planet as a placeholder? Tan?
Yeah? No.
He could see the snowy planet, home of the Sed, slowly turning. Ruth Blaine would be fighting the weapon down there right now. He wondered how she was doing. Sam bit his lip worriedly. And just as he did, the window slid open. Death by depressurization was not a pleasant thing to experience. Sam was unlucky enough that it wasn't his first time, but he was lucky enough that it wouldn't be his last time either. Only I. Personally, said the widow, I don't see a way forward but to take part. Agreed. As they darted forward, running through the hallways, Sam turned to look at his commander. They open the windows, he said hurriedly. We all get sucked out into space. Remotely? The widow didn't even miss a beat when being informed of her own gruesome death. Sam nodded. Immediately the widow raised her arms and blasted a torrent of freezing wind down the length of the hallway, transforming it into a tunnel of ice and sealing any mechanisms that could have spelt their doom. If they want to kill us, she said bitterly, they'll need to do it with their own 2 hands. Their hosts seemed to take that to heart. The floor burst upwards, the ceiling fell inwards, and automatics of every shape and size rushed forth to fill every inch of available space. Sam braced himself. Only I. Blood sprayed. Only I. Limbs flew. Only I. And on they went. The doors to the living quarters slid open, and Tybalt Delced stepped through them. His hair was in a severe bun, and his eyes were cold. His ego was in control right now, a being of pure logic, dedicated utterly to the mission. 2 shadows followed him as he strode into the room, a dancing jester, a void of a smile silently opening and closing in laughter, and a snarling wolf, illusory drool dripping from its exaggerated jaws. The children of the Sed shrank away as he passed them. He was one of the people who had brought them here, after all. Even if there were no bars in this place, it still felt like a prison. He stopped. He looked down. For the first time since he'd entered the room, he blinked. Anatrice? He said to the girl before him. Anatrice didn't quite realize it, but she'd backed up as Tybalt had approached, and now her back thumped against the wall. She looked up at him like a deer in the headlights. What? She asked, mouth dry. Tybalt Delced smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Erica wants you. I feel I must congratulate you, the air rumbled. Immediately the group skidded to a halt, ready to retaliate against the voice that had sounded out in their midst. Morgan Noct held out his sword. Serena Delced prepared her own invisible weapons. Alcera Nox readied her combat knife. Wolfram brought up his fists. The widow lifted her cane. Sam Set hyperventilated. Finally some service, yes? The widow smirked, stepping out of the group and looking around the massive room. I was wondering how many of your toys we'd have to break. Behind them, all the way down the hallway, was a graveyard of metal. The absurd weapons lab had sent no shortage of automatics against their opponents, from standard combat models to retrofitted executioners. They'd come for their enemies with lethal intent. If not for the strength the group possessed and the utility of only I, they surely would have taken some losses. Before them was, without a doubt, an arena, a massive square space with a smooth white floor that seamlessly transitioned into identical walls. A plethora of observation booths lined those walls, visible only as black glass from this side. No doubt the researchers of the comet were on the other side of those windows, making notes on what they were about to see. The widow clicked her tongue. Well, she barked, have you some weapon to test against us then, lion? Get on with it! So you're already aware. A pity. An elevator opened up on an elevated section of the arena, and its occupant stepped out. Heavy paws thumped against the smooth floor. Crimson eyes stared down at their gathering. The feline section chief of the absurd weapons lab, Blackmane, stepped into the light. He was indeed a lion. I like it better when it's a surprise. He narrowed his eyes. The name already gives it away somewhat. The widow scratched her nose. But you haven't answered my question. This is a testing site, yes? This whole thing is an experiment. What are you testing, and what are you experimenting on? I'm grateful to you, you know, The widow narrowed her eyes. How so? You've done very good work for us, all of you. You struggled most magnificently to survive. That was the illustration of mankind's nature we needed. And now you've come and delivered the test results right to our doorstep. How could I not be grateful? The widow sniffed. I see. So breaking free of the experiment is itself part of the experiment. How disheartening. You were only given the one hallway, Blackmane pointed out. You've only moved along the path laid out for you. The widow nodded to herself. I see. We're rats trapped in your maze, you say. Well, if that's the case, she raised her cane like it was a sword, pointing it at the distant beast. I can think of no more fitting opponent than yourself, cat. She glanced sideways at her companions. Proceed, she ordered. I'll dispose of this one here. Proceed, Blackmane scoffed. Were you not listening? This testing site has been laid out in advance. There's nowhere else for any of you to... A bow was pulled taut, an arrow was fired, and a voice cried out, Radiant Almighty! As Morgan Nock's arrow struck the far wall, melting through the white material like it was snow, the room trembled, and crimson emergency lighting consumed the room, as if the entire space had been soaked in blood. Blackmane stared aghast at the massive wall hole Morgan had created on the wall, leading into the maintenance tunnels beyond. Are you mad? He demanded. What if that had led out into space? Sam patted Morgan on the back. Right before Morgan had unleashed his attack, Sam had leaned in and whispered something in his ear. Not much, just a direction. Yeah, Sam smirked with trembling lips, looking up at Blackmane. I bet that would have sucked. As I said, the widow thumped her cane against the ground. Proceed. The group charged for the hole Morgan had opened, and a sequence of hatches opened up on the walls to intercept them. Turrets sprouted forth, each aiming for the group as they passed, each preparing to fire, each freezing over into uselessness as the widow's cold wind brushed over them. Foolishness, she said sternly. Did I say you could divert your attention like that, Blackmane? The crimson eyes of the Black Lion turned to look back at her. A low growl rumbled out of his throat, even as his disembodied voice spoke. It doesn't matter. I take it their goal is to take control of the comet? That's easier said than done. Do not forget, madam, the name of our lab. He leapt down from his platform and landed before the widow, red aether sparking around his paws as he rose up before her. We have weapons in excess. Something appeared, something that had previously been hidden in the section chief's shadow, a white sphere the size of a head, floating through the air with a network of lines running over its surface like a microchip. It hovered unaided over Blackmane's shoulder like a devil whispering in his ear. The widow made no unusual movements as she beheld it, but, I see you recognize what you're looking at, Blackmane commented. It seems we both have discerning eyes, madam. Perhaps you've seen the fake they've got in that gaudy museum? No matter. This is the brain of Granba. His body growled once more. Also known as the One Promise. Anatrice still said stopped. Tybalt turned to look back at her and called out, his voice deadpan. What is it? They'd stopped in the connection between one sector of the Thinker's Comet and another, a massive white staircase, lined with cold metal railings. Even though it led upwards, it certainly didn't feel like that to Anatrice. She stayed put on one huge step, while Tybalt looked down at her from 2 steps up. I asked you what it is, Tybalt said, his cold ego staring out of his eyes. Anatrice swallowed. I'm not going with you. Yes, you are. His face didn't so much as twitch as he heard her refusal. Well, of course it didn't. Anatrice had no doubt that this man had anticipated she might try and back out like this. It wasn't as simple as just saying no. And yet? No, she said, glaring up at him. I'm not. What you've got planned, what Erica has planned, you're going to start the SED back up, aren't you? I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not going back there ever again. Tybalt slowly blinked. You're acting based on a conclusion you've leapt to. Do you understand that? Anatrice braced herself. Tell me I'm wrong, then. You're wrong, Tybalt said immediately. I don't believe you. No. Tybalt turned fully to face her direction. Of course you don't. You're acting based on emotion. By this age, a person should understand that's not how you best interact with the world. He took a step forward, descending a single step, and as he did, the super eagle crawled into to his body, ejecting the stoic figure of the ego. "Now come on, Anatrice," Tybalt smiled kindly, his entire demeanor shifting in an instant. "Do you believe me now? I bet it's a lot easier when I'm not acting all creepy and emotionless, huh? We're not going to do anything bad, I swear to you, 100%. The tension in Anatrice's shoulders began to relax, and she let out a shuddering breath. For a second, she was tempted to give up on this little rebellion and just find out what Erica wanted. But Serena had said, hadn't she? The superego's words could drain away people's will to fight. "Are you using your ability on me right now?" Anatrice asked, her mouth dry, looking up as Tybalt's merry shadow fell over her. Tybalt blinked. "No," he lied. Anatrice stepped back. "Ego emulation! Gustavo Mordecai!" Who was this again?
This was the member of the Seven Blades that died before Musashi got there.
Lamau. And Gustavo Mordecai lunged forward. The shard of glass he'd been concealing in his back pocket clashed with the dagger Tybalt whipped out, and the two pushed against each other, their faces inches apart. "Ah," he sighed, "and it could have been so easy, you know?" Bum bum bum. Wow. This is beautiful.
Thank you.
So where's the next one?
As I said at the beginning of the episodes, there was going to be only one this week. Because I'm so sad, and I'm so sad all the time, because Darnell refreshes me so much.
Interesting.
I actually, every time after we record one of these episodes, I do have to go and have like a cry to myself a little bit, because of like the abusive messages he sends me as he's reading.
That makes me so happy.
What? Do you realise that I drink cough medicine to get over these recordings?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have to eat like paracetamol and heroin just to...
Question from Lan!
Oh, what's one?
Who was supreme during the war with the Great Chain?
It would have been Boris Zibazek.
Interesting. Question from Lan. How long would Cadman have lived naturally? Was he immortal?
Naturally, as if like, Skipper didn't show up, he probably had like another 60 years or so in him.
God damn. MT has a question. How much does Aether extend one lifespan? Didn't King live through 3 Supremes?
It depends. The lifespan, natural lifespan, is already extended in this universe through medical sort of advancements over the time. Aether, because it does sort of like just give you more durability in general, it also extends that a bit further. So I would say, like I said, like Cadman, who was on the upper scale, upper level of Aether users, I was like 170 years or so in him. So you can expect that's probably like the max you're probably going to get without a specific Aether ability or Aether tick that's keeping you alive longer than that. Just through base sort of like enhancement that Aether provides.
Very nice. I think we can end there. We have a question from Room for next time. Leaving off here. Otherwise, thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Please come again.
Bye.